Shalom, shalom, catch the Torah wave, everybody. Welcome back to our Genesis class, live from Jerusalem with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg of the Noahide World Center, who I got to meet in person just a couple weeks ago when we had our Noahide Society of Canada conference here in Canada. Rabbi Goldberg came in person, and it was such an honor to have him here. I look forward to hearing what he's got to share today. So let's just jump right in and see how the rabbi's doing and go from there. So, yeah, let's jump right in. So, Rabbi, you're live on the air. We're going to turn it over to you. It's your class, so we look forward to hearing what you got to share. It was such an honor to meet you in person, and nice to see you again today.
First of all, I must admit, it was really great. It was a long trip. One way, a long trip. In another way, I saw people, a lot of people. And first of all, Dan is a real person. And also Angelica is a real person. My husband also. What do you say? Kelly also is a real person. Michaela is a real person. I met her in Germany.
Beautiful.
No, so it was a joy. It was a great learning during this journey. And Nathan and Ariel is also real people. And
you got to hang with the Skobaks. They were beautiful people.
Yeah, excellent. I really enjoyed meeting them, knowing them. Really a lot of joy and a lot of knowledge that I've captured. I also want to thank you, Dan, for everything that you're doing the last 5 years. I think that you're managing to bring it to, I will call it, to establish it, this movement. I will say, before we'll start to learn something, we are starting to learn, but I will say one or two notes that we said, but it's also supposed to be on the, again, on the internet. So I will say this. This movement of the Noahide movement started when? When did it start? Do you remember?
2019.
How much?
Well, the first movement was started time of Jacob, right?
The Noahide World Movement?
Not the Noahide World Movement, but
no, I mean the Noahide movement.
Wasn't it 2018 or something?
Oh, no, the Noahide movement started with Abraham 4,000 years ago. Okay, Abraham also already started to speak with everybody that is not from the Hebrew nation. And what we have, it had a few gaps. What we say, Abraham started it, and then we have with Moses that he took out from the people from Egypt. Mm-hmm. So also we had a very big group of Noahide that went out with him from Egypt, from Egypt people, the Egyptians. And then we had in King Solomon era that he built up the temple. And we have stories in the Gemara, also in the second temple, now 2,000 years ago, that people were sending sacrifice and were Noahide that were worshiping the God of Israel. And in the last 35 years, I said it, I mentioned it, but I will mention this again. We all know the Indiana Jones films, right? So the person who inspired
Wendell Jones
is Wendell Jones. If you look in the internet about this name, Wendell Jones, he was a very interesting archaeologist who lived in Israel. He lived in the United States and in Israel, and he established again the Noahide movement in the beginning of the 50 years ago. And since then, we are growing up, and in the last, I would say, 10 years, we have communities all over the world. We have, for example, a certificate that we're giving to leaders or safe houses, whatever it is, all sorts of things that we're giving certificates. Exactly. So those certificates have we are renewing them every year. So I found myself, every year it's more and more people that we are renewing this certificate, and we have more and more people around, and it's really amazing to see how this group is being growing up. Bart, by the way, you got a very special blessing also from Rabbi Sherki for the things that you wrote today. I showed him, and he was really, thrilled with those things. Italo is closed with his camera, but he's part also of the South America group of leaders and people that are leading. We have also very interesting things that are going there in almost everywhere in the world. We have people, and we have also a big conference in January, another month and a half in Europe. So I will send also details about this tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think the email will go out to everybody in the world. So the movement is growing up. The movement is being more established. The movement is with more people around, and we need to understand that. We need to realize those things. Now, it is very interesting because we came in Genesis to a stage that is really connected with the parsha that we are reading this week. And I'm not sure that we will manage to pass more than one verse today, but let's see. Let's start. By the way, it's a verse that Rabbi Dov skipped. He didn't speak about this verse, so nobody will have here, twice same points. So let's straight ahead. Let's jump inside. Let's start to learn and everything else, and see a few things from Genesis. Let me share the screen. If I remember correctly, not this one. Here it is. This is the screen. We came to chapter 28, where, first of all, we saw, I will say it like that. Let's go step by step, and you will see how much it's very confusing, the verses on this chapter. We are still in chapter 28, but at the end of chapter 28, because we're going to speak about that Jacob left Beersheba and went to Haran. Only on this specific verse, we're going to speak a few words. And then if we'll manage, we will continue a bit on. But before that, we need to see that things over here are very confusing. I will say it like that. So let's go step by step. First of all, we saw that Isaac blessed Jacob with the blessing of Abraham. Okay, so if it's okay, please, here it is. Please read verse number 4.
4, and may he give you the blessing of Abraham to you and your seed with you, that you may inherit the land of your sojournings, which God gave to Abraham.
So we have a special blessing of Abraham that Isaac never thought of giving to Esau. All the fight about the blessing was about something else. We explained that. Isaac wanted very much that both his sons together will build up the Israel nation. Esau will be, I will call it, with the building up the society, building up all the things that are related with the foundation of the material side of the nation, and Jacob will be in charge on the spiritual side. So from the beginning, he thought of giving the blessing of Abraham. By the way, the blessing of Abraham is contained with two things. What are the two things that are being mentioned in verse number 4? Who can say to us? 2 points, only 2 points. You can speak, people. 1, and that you will get seed. Who is going to inherit this land? Your seed. You will have kids.
Your kids.
Okay, you will have kids. This is the blessing of Abraham. I think that also Rashi is mentioning those two things. Let's see it for a moment. Okay, yes, please read Rashi for a moment. The blessing of Abraham.
The blessing of Abraham, that he said to him, and I will make you into a great nation, and all the nations of the world will bless themselves with your seed.
May those
aforementioned blessings be for you. May the nation that blessed seed emanate from you.
Okay, so we have here the main thing. You will inherit the land and also the seed. So Isaac never thought of giving this blessing to Esau. But because, well, how do you call it? Rebecca knew because of the prophet, but also she saw it, that those two kids don't have the possibility of having love one with each other. or I will say it like that. It's something like a double, just like what happened with Cain and Abel. Now, let's remember for a moment. You remember that we spoke about this a few times. Who is more, I will say, who is more to be blamed with Cain and Abel about the situation that Abel died? Do you remember that? We have two proofs to say that Abel was more, I'll say, responsible for his situation. Point number one that we see, that the punishment of Abel was much harder than the punishment of Cain, right? Abel died and Cain only was going to exile. And the second thing is that we saw in the verses in chapter 4 that God spoke with Cain, he didn't speak with Abel. So we see that the responsibility of this situation is much more under the hands of Abel, and this is why he got punishment, much harder punishment. Now, why? We explained also why, the reasonable explanation for that. Abel, well, his mission was to teach Cain to accept the others. And we saw that. Et achiv et Hevel, his brotherhood, Abel. And Abel's responsibility was to be the educator for Cain, that is someone else in this world. Because Abel did his job, so God moved him aside. Now let's go to another couple. Let's go to Esau and Jacob. Who is the firstborn? Who's the firstborn? You can speak. Firstborn is Esau, right? And the second one is Jacob. So what is the mission of Jacob? To teach Esau that he is someone else in this world. Did Jacob manage to do that? The answer is no. They had hateness one with each other, right? And because of that, who is going to the exile and who is going to stay? Jacob is going to the exile. Jacob is going to pay much harder price for his failure of teaching his brother what he was supposed to teach him. I know that usually people are not looking at this in this way, okay? But I must say the things that like we've learned from our, rabbis, that a long history. There is here something at this point of time. At this point of time, there is something here that Jacob is paying much higher price than Esau, because Jacob didn't manage to bring Esau to the right position, and it was his responsibility. Therefore, he is going out to the exile, not Esau. Esau is staying here. Esau is staying in this country. Esau is staying in his place. Jacob is going to the exile. Jacob is going to pay the price of his failure. It is true that at this point of time, Esau was still in a stage where had the possibility of becoming with Jacob together Israel. And now we're going to see why it didn't happen. Okay? At this point of time, still, today we know with the continuous of the story. The continuous of the story is that Jacob will become Israel. God will say that he is Israel. The angel of Esau will say that he is Israel. Fair enough. But this will be only another few chapters. At this point of time, both of them had the possibility to become Israel together, and not that one of them will be Israel and one of them will be Esau. And at this point of time, Jacob is going to pay the price of not doing or not taking 100% the things that he was supposed to do, to teach Esau with this thing. So even though he got the blessing of Abraham, something here is not working. And what exactly is not working? Let's see what Isaac is saying to Jacob. Please read verse number 1.
1. And Isaac called Jacob and blessed him, and he commanded him, and he said to him, You shall not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan.
Okay, now a question that we have, why? Why? Why can't he take the daughters of Canaan? What is the problem of taking the daughters of Canaan? We saw this already with whom? It's not the first time. Saw this also with Abraham, right? Remember that? Abraham also took his servant Eliezer from Damascus and said to him, you can't take a girl for my son Isaac from Canaan. Go back to my homeland and bring a girl from there. So we need to understand what's happening. And then he's also giving him, he's giving him orders. Go to Padan Aram, to Bethuel, from the family of Rebecca, and take a girl from there, take a woman from there to build up this nation. And you're going to become a very big nation. And the blessings of Abraham, so you're going also to get the blessings of Abraham. Fair enough. But the question is why? So this is point number one. And now we have something very confusing, because read for a moment what is happening. We have in verse number 5. Read verse number 5 for a moment.
And Isaac sent Jacob, and he went to Padan Aram to Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau.
So we know that Jacob is going out. Fair enough. Now let's read for a moment what is. Suddenly, Esau is coming back. Okay. Usually in the Bible, we have a chapter that is speaking about Ishmael, chapter that is speaking about Isaac. We're not combining them together. Look here how much it's combined together. Please read for a moment verses 6, 7, and 8. We need to read a bit more. 6, 7, 8, and 9. Please.
6. And Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Padan Aram to take himself a wife from there, and that when he blessed him, he commanded him, saying, you shall not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. And Jacob listened to his father and his mother, and he went to Padan Aram, and Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan were displeasing to his father Isaac.
So 9, also 9. So Esau went to Ishmael.
So Esau went to Ishmael, and he took Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, the son of Abraham, the sister of Nebaioth, in addition to his other wives as a wife.
So suddenly we're speaking about Esau. In a moment, we're going to drill a bit inside to understand the tricky things that are happening here. But we see that Isaac is asking Jacob to move to somewhere else to bring his wife. Esau is learning something, and he's doing some sort of an action with his wives also. Not full things. In a moment, we're going to speak about them. And then in verse number 10, please read verse number 10.
10. And Jacob left Beersheba and went to Haran.
We saw this already, right? Something here is very mixed. Like those two stories are combined together. Just like where they are twins, and when they went out from their mother wombs, from Rebecca, they were also combined together. And Jacob, this is his name, okay, was holding the foot of Esau. Okay, they are combined together. Suddenly, this story is also still combined. As I said before, mentioned 2 minutes ago, at this point of time, both of them had the possibility to become Israel together. Okay, now we need to understand a bit more what is really happening here. And for that, I want to start with Rashi for verse number 10. And we will see something amazing for that Rashi is doing. Let's read for a moment Rashi for verse number 10.
Rabbi, can you take a quick question from YouTube?
Yes, of course.
A gentleman's asking why Jews refer Christians as Adam.
Edom.
Yes.
It's a good question. I think that we will manage to speak about this today. And the truth is that here we're starting the split between Esau and Jacob. And this is why I'm doing it very, step by step. Okay. Not just, let's read it and that's it. Step by step. So first of all, let's see here. The second time that Jacob is going out, it's being mentioned in the Bible that Jacob is going out to Haran. Jacob is going out from Beersheba. He's leaving Beersheba and going to Haran. So please read this Rashi, okay? And Jacob left.
And Jacob left because it was due to the fact that the daughters of Canaan were displeasing in the eyes of his father Isaac. that Esau went to Ishmael. Scripture interrupted the account dealing with Jacob, and it is written above verse 6, when Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob, etc., and as soon as Scripture finished the account of Esau's marriage, it returned to the previous topic.
So here, Rashi basically is trying to explain to us why suddenly we're speaking about Esau and why exactly Jacob went. But Rashi is doing something amazing, and he's saying he is giving a judgment. He's giving a judgment, okay? He's saying that due to the fact that the daughters of Canaan was displeasing, okay? In the Hebrew, it says even a bit more exact, ra'ot. Ra'ot is bad. When you say something about something that it's bad or good, this is a judgment of morality. Right? With me, all of you? Suddenly, Rashi, it's very, with what I saw till now, without Rashi, what I saw till now, is that Jacob is being asked by his father, by his mother. His mother is saying to him, go run away because Esau wants to kill you. Fair enough. So he's running away. Isaac is saying to him, go there because this is where you will find your wife. This is how you're going to build up the new nation. Fair enough. Till now, we saw those reasons. Suddenly, Rashi is bringing a different reason. He is judging Esau, Rashi is judging Esau. He is saying that it's displeasing, it's a bad thing that he did. And he's saying to us, this is the reason why Jacob left. It's the third reason now that we see here. Okay? We need to understand what's happening here. What exactly is happening here? Are you with me, all of you? I'm saying clear things. Something is not clear with what I'm saying. Okay? You see what's happening here? This is the first time that we're starting to judge Esau, we'll say it like that, in a manner of saying something here is not wrong, is not right. He's doing the wrong thing. He's doing a bad thing. And this is why Jacob is moving somewhere else. So to understand what's happening here, we need to answer a few questions. Let me close Rashi for a moment. We need to answer a few questions, and please go with me step by step. We're going to explain a few things. And the first thing I want to answer is the question about why Jacob is supposed to go like Isaac to the main route, okay, and to take a woman still from the family of Abel. Okay, maybe we need to say one more thing, how much Jacob is going back to Abel. Okay, so for that, we're not going to read the full Rashi. It's a long one. It's with a lot of mathematics. And I know that people don't really like mathematics after school. So I'm not going to speak here about mathematics. So we're just going to show this. And if you want, go and learn this Rashi. It's a very nice Rashi. It's a very important one. Okay? Nevayot is also, it is. This is a very long Rashi, as you can see. This is of Nevayot, and he's doing here a lot of calculation. But the most important thing that he's giving here, just a moment, I'll find it in the Hebrew. למדנו מכאן, we've learned from here that Jacob, consequently, please read this part.
Consequently, Jacob was 63 at Ishmael's death. We learn from here that he hid for 14 years in the house of Eber and afterwards went to Haran.
This is enough. Now, after that, if you want to do all the calculation, the most important thing is that where exactly Jacob went, to whom he went to learn?
The house of Eber.
House of Eber. Eber is still alive. Okay, you do the calculation from chapter 10, 11 in Genesis, and you will see that Eber is still alive. Okay, for a few years, not, he wasn't alive for the full years of Jacob, but he was alive, and he had what we call Beit Midrash. He had a place where he taught people. After all, let's not forget, Abel was a prophet. Abel had a vision of connecting all the people of the humanity back, even though each one of those people went to a different place. We have 70 nations, and Abel have some sort of a vision, dream, to collect everybody together. We spoke about this. Jacob is going to Abel, and then he will go to the daughters of the Abel destiny that are sitting in Haran. So we need to understand what exactly is happening here and why, I will call it like that, what is the bad side that Esav did, that because of that he lost the possibility, or not only he lost the possibility of becoming Israel, he started, I will call it, to do the fight against Israel. And then later on, our sages will say that this is also Edom, or this is the main struggle that we have between the Christianity and the Judaism. The Judaism is one part of the Hebrew nation. The Hebrew nation have 12 tribes. By the way, it have 12 tribes and a daughter, Dinah, okay, that she will get married. Dinah will get married from someone from the outside of the Hebrew nation, to bring inside people from the outside of the Hebrew nation, okay? So we have one of the 12 parts of Israel is being called Judah, right? And Judaism is only this part, but we have more parts in Israel, not only Judah. Israel is the full one. It's part of the Abel destiny. We have 12 tribes. Okay, so let's learn step by step. For that, I want to use something from the biological side. Do you all know, I think that all of us here are adults enough, and we know how things are being created, how man is being created, okay? This, I will call it a holy thing that is between the husband and the wife. So we have the seed on one side, and I don't remember how you call it in English, the side of the woman on the other side. But those two things, when they are getting connected together, is becoming, after 9 months, a small baby. But there is, in the biological side, there is what we call, I know how to say this in Hebrew, I will find it also the word in English, okay? We call it in Hebrew, it's itmainut, okay? At the beginning, all of the parts of those small, let me find the English verse, and you will say how you call it, how you say it in English.
That'd be embryo.
Cellular differentiation. Okay, this is a word. Do you know what the cellular differentiation is? At the beginning, you have a small seed, but later on, along the first 3 months, suddenly part of the cellular is going to become a liver, the other is going to become an eye, the other one is going to become a tongue, the other one is going to become a brain, and the other one is going to become a leg. But at the beginning, each one of them have the potential to become all of those things, right? Till now, it's very simple, very logic. This is what we say. This is the name, this is I will call it the scientific name of this situation. At the beginning, the seed, okay, have all the abilities inside, but along the first 3 months, suddenly part of it is going to become this part of the body, and something else is going to become another part of the body. But at the beginning, each one of them have all the possibilities to be each one of them. But later on, it's, there is some sort of a differentiation, what is becoming this part and what is becoming the other part. Till now, everything is very simple. On the same level, I will call it, more or less, it's very similar. What happened is, and this is what we saw in chapter 11, the world went to an exile. God decided to separate 70 nations all over the world. Now, we have, I will call it like that, some sort of an inside identity that we are in an exile, because we are very far from God. Okay? God created us, and we are very far from Him. We are not the creators. We are human beings that were created. So we are feeling in an exile. But we have another exile. The other exile that we have is Genesis chapter 11. Let me put it on the board so you will see it and you all remember that God decided in Babylon to spread us over all over the world, right? The entire earth was one language in uniform words. We were all together. And because something that is not clear also inside the verses at all, at the end, God is deciding to do something very simple. And what he's doing, he went to see what's happening there. We learned it, okay? And he says, if I will give this hand and it will continue on, I won't be able to stop it. And then what God did, he scattered them. He spread them out all over the world. So now we have, I will call it like that, a particular units, okay? The United Nations in America are something different than South America. And they are very different from the African people. And they are very different from the India people on the east side of the world. And they're very different also from the Chinese. And they are very different from the Japanese and the Australian people. And also in the United States, there are a few things, okay? So at the beginning, we were all united. But God spread it all of us, all over the world. Fair enough. There is one nation, as we said more than once, that the dream is to bring all of us together. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Eloheinu, Hashem Echad. Oh, Israel, listen, okay? God is one, God is united, and we can all be united together. This is the destiny of the Abel family. We said it more than once, we showed it more than once, also in Rashi. So if I will try to take some sort of a parallel or an example, I will say it like that. The nations all over the world, it's like flowers, okay? One is red, one is blue, one is light, whatever it is. But there's one string that is pulling all of them together. You can't take the German community and say they are not worth anything. No, they're supposed to be also part of all of those flowers. But the German people are unique, and you can't say that the German people are the same like the Russian people. If you will say to the German people, they will, get crazy one with each other. The Russian people are one group of people. They have all sorts of costumes, whatever it is. The German people have someone else. But how can we connect all of them together? We need some sort of a string that will connect all of them together. So all of the flowers, it's all of the 70 nations. The string that is combining all of them together, this is the Hebrew nation. Now, when God is building up the Hebrew nation, before, okay, we have the differentiation between I will call it the Hebrew nation and the others. At the beginning, at the first 3 months, you can only use the main roots or the main, I will call, family of the Hebrew nation. And this is what is happening with Isaac, and this is what is happening with Jacob. Isaac is coming to Jacob, just like I had in the beginning. You also, on the same level, must go to the roots. We can't get yet at this point of time in any, I will call a simulation with the rest of the world. We are building up the unique string that is managing to take all of the flowers together. And for building up this string, we need to be in the roots, in the beginning, with from the place where we will manage to build it up. After that, the next generation, they're going to get married with other people from the world. In halachic way, there's a way how to do that, okay? I won't go inside. In those days, it was one way. Today, it's another way. There's also differences in the generations. So this is basically what Isaac is telling Jacob to do. What is happening with Esau? The truth is, Esau was supposed to do the same. Let me remind us all. Listen good. How many wives Jacob had? You all know. How many wives Jacob had?
4 wives?
How many?
4?
He had 4, but basically he had 2, and the other 2 were
Two
more.
concubines.
2 wives, right? One was Rachel, and the other one was
Leah.
Leah. Let's look for a moment, something that all of us know that, I think, okay? I'm continuing on a bit, and we will see. Please read verse number 16.
16. Now Laban had 2 daughters, and the name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel.
Okay, continue please with 17 also.
Leah's eyes were tender, but Rachel had beautiful features and a beautiful complexion.
Why Leah's eyes were so tender? Do you remember why? I will show here, actually, very simple. Don't knock off from the chair, okay? It's very simple. You won't believe it. Tender, please read this.
Tender because she expected to fall into Esau's lot, and she wept because everyone was saying Rebekah has 2 sons and Laban has 2 daughters, the older daughter for the older son and the younger daughter for the younger son.
This was supposed to become the main family of the Hebrew nation. Jacob and Esau, Leah and Rebekah. It's written down. I didn't invent anything here, okay? You see it? Basically, this was supposed to become the Hebrew nation. At the end, what happened is that Jacob took the blessings from Esau, and he also took his wife. But at the beginning, before the separation, or before, how did we call it a moment ago? This is before the cellular differentiation, this was supposed to become the family of the Hebrew nation to continue on. This was the vision of Isaac. If Jacob and Esau were able, if they would have been able to live together with a brotherhood, so Esau would have taken Leah, Jacob would have taken Rachel, and together they were building up the Hebrew nation. Because they had the hatred between them, and they hated one each other, or Esau hated Jacob, therefore he lost it. He lost everything, okay? He gave the firstborn also priority in the beginning, okay? When he came out from the field very tired, and then he sold his the birthright, okay? He sold it to Jacob. Then he lost also the blessing that was related to him. And later on, he also lost what? The wife that was supposed to become his wife. And what, instead of that, what he did? He did something else. Let's go back now. Now let's go back to the chapter before that, and we will see why the Bible is explaining to us exactly what happened there. Okay? Let's close Rashi for a moment. We don't need it. It will confuse us. So we have that Isaac is saying to Jacob, go to Laban and take your wife, okay? From the daughter of Laban, you will take your wife. And Isaac is sending Jacob for that. And suddenly we have Esau. What exactly do we have with Esau? By the way, just a moment. Just a moment, very important also. It's not here. Okay. Now what's happening with Esau? Esau looks and he says, okay, Jacob is going to take his wife from there. And here it is. To whom Jacob is listening? To whom is he listening? To both of them, right? Esau is doing something else. To whom is he listening? Only to his father, right? Don't see that he's listening to his mother. I want to remind us all that also his mother was very frustrated from from the daughters of Esau. I'll show you this for a moment. It's very important to see this for a moment. Let's jump here to chapter 27, and we will see two places that Rebecca is very frustrated. First of all, we'll see in chapter 26, just a moment. Okay, at the end of chapter 26, we see that when Esau was 40 years old, that he married those two girls. There were vexation of the spirit to whom? Isaac and Rebecca. Okay, fair enough. Let's continue on. And we see in chapter 27, at the end of chapter 27, you remember that those, who is saying here? Who is saying here?
Rebecca said to Isaac, I am disgusted with my life because of the daughters of Heth.
If Jacob takes a wife of the daughters of Heth
like these, from the daughters of the land, of what use is life to me?
So who is upset with this marriage of Esau? Two people, Rebecca and Isaac, right? Right. Now we see that Jacob is listening to his mother and his father, but Esau is listening to whom? Only to his father. Okay, and what exactly is he doing? Whom is he taking now to a wife? First of all, he is not sending them away. The wives that are very hard in front of his mother and father, he's not sending away. He's taking another one. Okay, he's taking another one on top of his wives. Okay, in addition to his other wives, right? In addition. What exactly is he doing? Let's think for a moment. He is going to Ishmael. Let's remember for a moment. We all remember that Ishmael wanted to kill Isaac, right? And to replace him. Remember that? I want me to show you. I will show you. Let's go back. We learned those things, but it was a long time ago. So maybe people don't remember exactly. Please read verse number 9 and 10.
9, and Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, making merry. And Sarah said to Abraham, drive out this handmaid and her son, for the son of his handmaid shall not inherit with my son, with Isaac.
Okay, now let's see Rashi for a moment, so we will understand exactly what exactly Sarah saw, that she decided that we need to send him away. Please read it here. Making merry. An expression.
Making merry, an expression of idolatry, as it is said, and they rose up to make merry. Another explanation is an expression of illicit sexual relations, as it is said below, to mock me. Another explanation, an expression of murder, as it is said in 2 Samuel 2:14, let the boys get up now and sport before us.
So we have here, basically, and we see that it's also in the Midrash, Ishmael tried to kill Isaac. So now let's go back and see what exactly Esau is doing. Esau here is taking a step. While we explained that we are still in a situation where we're building up the Hebrew nation, therefore we need to stay in the family of Abel. Esau is deciding to take a step. He is not throwing up the daughters of the Chaitai, the people from the land. He is adding Ishmael, that also wanted to replace Isaac, and he is trying to build up a nation that will be with some sort of a replacement to the Hebrew nation. He's starting to realize. And Jacob is going to Haran to build up the Hebrew nation. He is not in the stage still of Israel. Jacob is still in the stage of Jacob. Israel is only another few chapters, another 21 years that he will become Israel. But at this point of time, we're starting to see the split between those two twins that were supposed to become together the Israel nation. Am I clear enough? No, what do you say? I don't know. People are very quiet today. Again, I'm saying what we saw till now, and this is why it's very complicated inside the same, I will call it a chapter. Okay, we're speaking about Jacob, we're speaking about Esau, we're speaking about Jacob. We're jumping from one to another. Usually in the Bible, if you look on the chapters before and on the chapters after that, we have a chapter about Jacob, or we have a chapter about Ishmael, we have a chapter about Isaac, we have a chapter about Abraham, it's very in order, except here. Here we still have the twins that are together, and here we're starting the split. We're starting to realize that Esau, with his hatred to Jacob, is in a situation where he wants to build up something that will be replacing the Hebrew nation, that will be with a competition with the Hebrew nation. He's listening only to his father, not to his mother. We have in the Hebrew tradition, we say that the father is some sort of reminding us, okay, what we call the Torah Shebe'al Peh, the written Bible, and the mother is reminding us what we call the Torah Shebichtav, the oral Bible. Esau is accepting the written Bible, but he is not accepting the oral Bible. He is listening only to his father. He doesn't count his mother at all. Now you're starting to realize with the Christian world how much it is hard for the Christian people to accept the oral Bible. How much they are fighting against the oral Bible. The oral Bible we need to realize it's a full Bible. It's a full, I will call it a system, how it's working, and what are the boundaries, and who is outside the boundaries, and who is inside the boundaries. It's a full system, what's working there, okay? Esau is accepting the written Bible, and Esau is trying to replace and to be in a competition with Jacob instead of working with him together. And this is where the split is starting. This is where Esau, who had the possibility to be in the roots of the cellular parts together, okay, with Jacob, decided to do a differentiation between him and Jacob in a way that he won't be part of the Hebrew nation. By the way, it's not working 100% to Esau. At the end of his days of Esau, when they're coming to bury Jacob, the legend is saying, I won't go inside to all of the legend, but the legend is saying that the head of Esau is inside the cave, the tomb of the patriarchs. Okay, so we have there Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We have three mothers, okay, Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah. By the way, in our tradition, we also have Adam and Eve there in the cave of the patriarch, and also the head of Esau. Now, what is the meaning of this? That there is something in the most highest level of Esau, okay, the part of his head that is also part of the mission that started with Adam and Eve to bring the world to the Messiah days, and continued with the patriarchs, and also Esau, his head, is part of this. Or there's something in Esau that is still with us. So it didn't work for him in 100% to manage to go away from the Hebrew nation all totally. He's still related. And if we're trying to show, to explain something, to express with this Edom, or what we call the word Edom in Hebrew, but the word Christian, okay, Christian world, you can't define the Christianity without starting with the explanation what is the Jewish nation, and from there the Christianity. But if you try to define the Jewish nation or the Hebrew nation, you don't need to define the Christianity. It's not related. Okay, there's some sort of connection. Esau didn't have the possibility of withdrawing himself all totally away from the Hebrew tradition. Something that is connected. The head is still there in the tomb, also with the patriarchs. So there's something here very interesting. And on the other side, who is going to the exile? Who is the one who is going to the exile? The one who is, I will call it, with much more responsibility. He is going to the exile. Yeah. Now, I will say, after we explained in chapter 11 that all of the world went out to the exile, so what we say, when we're saying that Jacob is going to the exile, what we're saying is that he is going outside to visit the nations in their exile, because he's the only one that is getting the inheritance or the blessing of Abraham. Now God said to Abraham in a very surprising way, this is the land and this is your land, you're going to inherit it, this land. So with you, Abraham, the exile stopped. So from time to time, the Hebrew nation is going out to visit all of the people around the world in their exile and coming back to the place where they're feeling in the Garden of Eden, at home. Last week, I did also a very long trip to places outside the exile. I met people in Canada, in Germany, and I came back home. Okay? This is how we're doing it. On the other side, it's our responsibility. In our days today, we have, I will say it, the blessing to do this in a very honorable way. Thank you very much, Dan, for everything that you did very hard. So we will manage to do that. It's like a bit more, or it's reminding us like Joseph, who went to Egypt and became a king, okay, in a very honorable way. Unfortunately, in the last 2,000 years, there was also a situation where it wasn't so in an honorable way. It was in a way that was a bit frustrating, okay? But this is the responsibility of Jacob that will become Israel, that will become the Hebrew nation, that's supposed to be the string that is managing to unite all the people together from the next generation. Till now, I think I spoke too much, as usual. Now it's your time to ask, to understand, to feel that you're understanding very much everything that I said, or if something is unclear, this is the time to ask. I hope it was clear enough, I don't know. Yes, people are quiet. Angela and Mike, everything is fine there in the United Kingdom. I didn't visit you in the United Kingdom, but you're supposed to visit us. So
it's just cold, that's all, sorry. But apart from that, Rabbi, everything is still here.
Not like Canada, In Canada, it's cold.
There's a difference between Canadian cold and British cold. And in the UK, it's cold, but to Canada, it's quite warm, yes. Horses for courses, they say.
I'll say it like
You
that.
have a good trip anyway, and a safe trip. Well, safe you are there.
Yeah, yes.
It was a good trip.
It was a good one, but I will say that the people in Canada are much more warm people than the England people.
You know very well indeed, yes.
With my experience. Okay, questions that you have. Everything is clear.
Rabbi, I just have a quick comment, if you don't mind.
Yes.
It seems like this is the beginning of the anti-Semitism, when Esau started to hate. That first hatred, I think, started the anti-Semitism. And we can clearly see now how the United Nations have been formed, how actually United Nations is against Israel. Everything Israel does, everything Jewish nation does, United Nations is so against it. And we can clearly see right here in this chapter.
You're right. This is a turning point of this situation, the modern right. This is where it starts. We read it also in the verses. Just a moment. אני כבר מסיים, נעמוד. Read it here.
You know, the thing that bothers me about the whole story.
Just a moment.
Yeah.
We have here. You can read verse 41 for a moment. You see, read it for a moment, loud and clear.
41, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing that his father had blessed him, and Esau said to himself, let the days of mourning for my father draw near. I will then kill my brother Jacob.
The beginning of the hatred.
It's interesting because Esau never had in his heart to change his ways. He never wondered, he never had a desire to even to understand. When he sold his birthright, he was like, you know, we're just on this earth for a while, forget about all the stuff, right? It was just a bowl of soup. He didn't even care. If he cared, he would ask him, hey, I want you to cook me a bowl of soup for the rest of my life. But he didn't care. And it's so easy to see that. And he just hated.
You're right. You're very right. You're saying good points. Yes. Yes, Angelica. Yes.
Oh, you're totally right what you're saying. You're totally right. But when you see this stuff happening, and we as Noahide, we have the answer for the all nations, for all people. Like, think about it. Like, this is so big. This is so big. When I thought about it, I thought, wow, Hashem is giving us a responsibility also to give to others, to walk in these 7 principles. It's funny how Christianity is too. When I talk about, or when I get together with a Christian person, I just say, you know what? They'll talk and talk and talk, and I say, well, you know, world situation, and yeah, sure, but we have the answer. And they'll say, what? Yeah, you have the answer too. The 7 principles. You already have them. Why aren't you living them? That's the answer right there. So it makes them think. And so now I have, another person asking me questions. So which is good. And little bit by little bit, they have it. We all have the answer. Why aren't we going there? So
we're going there. Step by step.
Going there. We are going there. I'm just saying those who, are out there who aren't there yet. But it's good. It's all good. It's exciting, actually, to when you see bad things happen, the good stuff's coming. And the nation of Israel, the rabbis are teaching it. And so that's going to go forward, totally go forward.
With the God helps. Excellent. Yes. Thank you very much. Kelly, you wanted also to say something?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Something really stuck out to me. Maybe it's a bit more personal, but when we were talking about how Jacob listened to both his mother and father about who his wife should be, and yet Esau only listened to his father, but not his mother. And the disastrous results of him not listening to both his parents, I don't know. I just think back, many years ago, I guess, I don't know. I wish I had listened to my parents in a situation I won't get into, but I wish I had listened, because it would have saved me years of heartache. And I know the Bible says we're to honor our parents, but sometimes I think especially when we're young, like in our 20s or whatever, we think we know better, and we think we know best. And I guess it can be the same with God too, because sometimes when he tells us something and or we should go a certain direction and we don't, we go a different direction. We think we know better. That's like, I guess that's actually that's like pride. That's like saying you know more than God, like sometimes I just think if only I'd listened, if only, but at least now I know anyways. So it's just,
he's saying things from the heart, and we don't need to explain more, especially that we are on the internet and it's outsourcing. It is true that we need to remember. We're going to explain this next week. Okay, next week we're going to speak about the stones that Jacob. I'm giving you a spoiler for the next week. Okay, the stones the stones that Jacob is putting under his head. Now, the word stone in Hebrew, it's called even. It's very interesting. The word even is combined from two words. Av, father, veben, son. Now, as we all know, stone is a very strong thing, right?
Yeah.
So if there is a strong connection between the father and the son, okay, the continuous, this is where you will manage to build up, I will say, the ladder of going step by step to a further strength of the world. And this is what is happening with Jacob. We're going to explain this in, as usual, with more profound understanding next week, because we're going to go inside to the stones that Jacob put under his head and the dream that he had.
Yeah.
And it's to explain this, but one of the points is very important, the relationship between the generations. And to remember that we need to have this respectful side and also the relationship and with the right way. So we're going to speak about this also. I'm sorry, I must finish now. I know that I don't have more time this tonight. I'm sorry, here in Israel. Again, with a lot of appreciation for Dan, for all of the efforts that he did in the last 5 years, that summarized somehow in the last week, that all the things that I had in the 10 days that I traveled all over the world. It's 10 hours.
Such a joy to meet you here in person. Yeah.
It is 10 hours difference between Israel and your place, It took me time to realize 10 hours difference,
Yeah.
It's a difference of day and night,
Rabbi, how many hours did it take you to fly there?
Almost 48 hours.
Oh my God.
The first airplane.
Yeah. Everything out of Toronto was delayed, and they stuck him an extra night in Toronto, and even the Skobaks coming from Toronto got rerouted, missed their plane here, and I had to make an extra trip to the city over to pick up them. They got rerouted. Rabbi Goldberg just got put on the next flight the next day, and
Wow.
Even the first flight is 12 hours in the airplane, okay? From the moment that it's running up to the sky until it's going down. But it's something that we really think it's very important for us. People are asking me when I'm coming to South America. I'm not going to go to South America. They're speaking Spanish there. We're going to send the Spanish leader that we have, that is working with the Spanish group, and they're going to have there also some sort of conference in January. And I will send also soon an email, not tonight, tomorrow, in 24 hours, an email about the conference that we're going to have in Europe. I must go now, but have a blessing week, and hopefully next week we'll continue on. And thank you very much for everything.
It's so good to see you again, and it was a joy to have you here in person. Wonderful time with everybody that was there, and it's coming, folks. Catch the Torah wave, and look for it in your area, and click, connect, and join. And you just don't know, you'll find fulfilled life, and it's all good. So till next week, same time, same channel. We'll be back with more of the Genesis class, and we wish you all well. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Bye, everybody. Have a great week.
Bye.
Good to see you,
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Mm.